Hello and welcome once again to Battleground Bihar. Now we are in the heart of the city of Darbhanga in northern Bihar. This is in fact the university campus. Darbhanga goes to vote in the final phase. Today the fourth phase took place, so 80% of Bihar has already voted. There's only 20% left and all these people are going to vote on the 5th. This is in fact, this fifth phase in the northeast of Bihar is a high concentration Muslim area, the most concentrated Muslim area in Bihar, and that's still to come. But what we are going to focus on in this election once again is that it's not all about caste and religion. That's an oversimplistic view of the voting in Bihar. It's a much more complex and interesting political scenario here. I do want to mention before I start, Dorab, that I was trying to match you by being smart today, and I'm smart. You look like a ragamuffin.
Absolutely right.
Ragamuffin.
Correct.
After last time's high standard, because it's university area and all that, you want to be one of those. And Shekhar is right. Median, proper, in between, but your volatility is not.
He's just been working harder than the rest of us.
That's pretending to work hard.
He hid my suitcase. I can't find my clothes. And please notice, it's the first time since independence that anybody's been found wearing a jacket in Darbhanga. That I can tell you.
It's quite cool here. It's winter. Okay. Once again, we're talking about these elections being much more than just caste and religion. Let's have a look at all the other factors and we'll go into some detail as to how important each one is. It's not only about caste, it's not all about the base. It's low turnout helps the BJP, high turnout helps the JDU. Men voters go for the BJP, not just caste. Younger voters go for the BJP across all castes. Older voters for JDU. The more literate vote for the BJP, the less literate vote for the JDU. The forward caste, here we get into the caste factor. So they're one of many. Vote for the BJP. OBCs vote for JDU. Muslims vote for JDU and RJD. But when there's Muslim, there's also Hindu consolidation in constituencies with large Muslim vote. So it's not just simply a Muslim constituency with 30% Muslim is going to go against the BJP because there's Hindu consolidation at the same time. Areas with more development tend to vote more for the BJP. With less development, tend to go for the JDU. And we'll have people talking about it. We've traveled hundreds of miles, talked to many, many voters. And you'll get a few surprises about what development really means for a vote. Urban voters, BJP, rural voters for the JDU and RJD. Well, let's go straight into the first category of how it's not all about caste. Let's have a look at the age groups. How does age group matter? We just had on that younger voters vote for the BJP, older for the JDU. Look at that. BJP vote is higher in younger voters versus older voters by 4%. Now 4% swing is a huge amount. And the JDU RJD vote is high among older voters like, I won't mention, 86-year-olds like Dorab. 2% higher. So it's a 6% difference. I must say, you don't look 86.
Well, when I'm 90 like you, I'll be fine. I think also what's happening is that younger voters are coming in from the bottom, older votes exiting from the top. So in general, the BJP is on the up because more of its supporters are entering the voting universe. The RJD's supporters are exiting the universe.
No, but I just want to know, this is a cross-section, right? At one point in time, younger are voting for BJP, older are voting for JDU. Yes. Does that mean this the futures with the BJP, or does it mean as these youngers get older, they change?
Yes, they will, but the bulge from the bottom will always be large. But so parties like the JDU have to appeal to the younger voters.
Bihar is the youngest large population state in India. So you have to presume that a very large number of Bihar's voters are young.
Yes.
So let's look beyond percentages. Let's look in absolute numbers.
Right.
So what is 4% of the young?
Correct.
Maybe much higher than twice as much as 2% of the old. It may be 3 or 3.5 times as high. So there is a big difference there. I think this 4% head start among younger voters is the least discussed factor in this election because everybody that just takes castes and put them in their own boxes. I think once age starts making a difference, the equation begins to change.
Right. This is now, Shekhar, based on historical data, which has been the same over many, many years, so it's most likely to be the same.
Yes, it's just that today Bihar is much younger than it was
Yes.
5 years ago
Yes.
or 10 years ago
Yeah,
or 15
that's a very
years
good
ago.
point. And I guess it will keep increasing for a while.
Right.
Yes.
So that's very good news for the BJP. And we've noticed that the younger voters tend to be a little more for the BJP. And even our,
The other parties will figure that out and
Yeah.
try and have plans or younger candidates or whatever to attract that vote. Because you can't have such a huge disadvantage when you're fighting an election.
why, Shekhar, do you think the younger voters vote more for the BJP? Do they have more proposals for them, more plans for the younger voter?
First, the younger voters have no inherited loyalties. Now, why did they not have this in the past? Why didn't the previous generation do it? Because it was a different generation. It was exposed, it was influenced much more strongly by their parents and by their joint families. Today's younger people are exposed to the world, so they don't carry any baggage of political loyalties or ideology. So this is, I keep saying it, maybe I'm wrong, but I keep repeating it in the hope that it will be taken seriously. This is now, we are dealing with a non-ideological generation of Indians.
Right,
This is
right.
very much what's in it for me generation. And it's also an I don't owe anybody nothing generation.
Does it also
So-
mean that they are anti-establishment, and the establishment so far has been the Congress and Nitish and Lalu, and that they are anti-establishment?
No, they are also very confident. You know, the line you hear very often from many of these young people is, it's 5 years, let's give these guys also a chance.
Right.
How does it matter?
Right.
Because these people think they have time, because
And
even if
also-
5 years don't work out well, they have the future.
Also, to some extent, in the hunger to do well, Modi, they identify with the
I think the
Modi
aspirational
appeals
bit
to
is
the
there.
younger
It's a
voter.
Yeah.
more positive message, and that works. Whereas the socialist, former socialist forces, are still today at least pretending to be socialist forces, their message tends to be much more from the 60s.
Right.
Much more sort of povertarian.
Right.
In case of Bihar, I would
Like
even
Dora.
call it agro-povertarian.
Like Dora.
You see, Mr. Modi,
Agro-povertarian.
Dorab is not agro, he may be
I'm
povertarian.
agro, but not agro. But you know, I think Mr. Modi's also made some kind of a change. In this election, 2014, which was done as a television election, everybody got to see it. He was promising aspiration,
Right.
and that's what attracts the youth. In a
Right.
place like Bihar, where employment is low,
Right.
you know, where there aren't that many opportunities, you say give them a chance.
And when Mr. Modi says, I'm a tea seller's son, I'm from an extremely backward caste,
I can make a
he's
difference.
not apologetic about what he's become now.
Right.
In his style, in his dressing, in his talk, he's very aggressive. He's celebrating his success. And in that, people see a personification, young people see a personification of what they may want. Because now it's very easy to find young people in the most backward caste and the poorest families, fishermen's families, saying, of course I dream, but I'm not sure my dreams will be fulfilled. And dreams are about becoming doctors, engineers, pilots. Dreams are not just about another job,
Right.
not about a clerical job. So this is a changing India, and frankly, while there are other larger factors, on this count, Mr. Modi is doing enormously better than others.
Right.
He's able
Very
to
clear with the
build a dream and
figures.
sell it much better than the others.
Now let's have a look at, in terms of literacy and education, who does better. Among the more literate, the BJP do better, or the JDU? Now this again is linked to caste, but not only caste. So the RJD, JDU, less literate voters vote more for the JDU and RJD, and the more literate vote for the BJP. Look at the vote of the JDU, RJD among the non-literate, 54%. But among the less literate, among the more literate, the literate voters, what we're calling it, 43. So less literate or non-literate, 54. The actual literate voter, 43. So JDU vote is higher among non-literate voters by 11%. And this is based on polling booth data by Mr. Tukral's DataNet company. It's across thousands and thousands of polling booths. So it's really very solid data. Let's have a look at how the BJP, BJP fares in the same area of literacy. Literate voters vote more for the BJP. Among literate voters, their votes about 40%. Among non-literate, 30%. So the difference is 10%. Now again, this is also partly linked to caste, but even amongst a caste, a more literate person, say a more literate Yadav, is more likely to vote for the BJP. And 10% is a lot, so it's not all about caste. Now Dorab, why would literacy change your vote in such a stark manner? 10%, 11% is huge.
I think the aspirations level also change with literacy.
Right.
In a state like this. So I think, that makes you want to vote for a party that might cater to your aspirations rather than one which is more for the, povertarian parties also, because it moves slowly, is more for the status quo. While, a non-povertarian, a liberal party is more for movement upward. And I think that they are more likely to want movement upward.
Yeah, quite right. Tell me, is it also to do with the kind of campaigns that the party runs, that the campaign that the JDU, the Congress, the RJD tend to focus on the poor and therefore it's self-fulfilling. They get more votes from them. And won't they have to change their tactics once India gets more and more literate?
Well, I think campaign is just the last part of the race. I mean, an election is a long distance race. It takes 5 years. Campaign is just the last stretch. So I think we focus too much on it. The question also is, what kind of politics do these parties follow?
Right.
What kind of government they give you? Now, Nitish, on all accounts, has given Bihar a decent government. Bihar's got growth, roads have got better, schools have got better, more kids are going to school, etc., etc. But look at quality of life. He's given power, but look at the quality of his cities. We're sitting in Darbhanga, which is one of North Bihar's largest cities, one of Bihar's better known cities historically in the rest of India, not far from the main temple here, the university. But look at the dump this town is, but that is the way every city in Bihar is. So people who get a little bit educated, who are looking for jobs, then they...
And what we did find in all our chatting with people, that's our qualitative aspect compared to this quantitative. Everybody wanted school and education and colleges. There's that hunger for literacy and education.
Better quality life. So I would say these figures that you showed just now are really fraught for forces like JDU, RJD, because they may, even if they scrape through this time, the point is nobody can fight demographics. Right? Demographics will change.
So they'll have to change also, otherwise they'll be lost.
They will have to change very fast because, they cannot carry on with this agriculture villages. Half of it is lip service because people are moving from villages to cities anyway. And they're moving to cities like this. What's the point? And they are the ones who are getting angry. Right. And this young generation has no time for their parents' loyalty. So I think that's the biggest thing that's changing.
Let's move on to one other area, Dora, which we've been studying, and that is in elections people talk about vikas and development, and we're all for development, and this election is primarily to do with progress. Who benefits from progress? Who has benefited from progress? We looked at, again, from the DataNet source, Mr. Tukral's amazing data about development, polling booth by polling booth, villages by villages. Wherever there's development, more development, BJP and its allies vote improves. Where there's better power supply, BJP vote goes up by 5% on average. Where there's better sanitation, BJP vote goes up by 4%. These are just hard facts across the state of Bihar. Where there's better communication facilities, the BJP vote goes up by 3%. Now this is again, Dorab, a dilemma for the non-BJP parties that, I'm going to bring you sanitation, roads, schools, but will I lose votes in the bargain?
Well, I think it's a bit of a fix because if you don't do it, you're kicked out. And if you do it, the guys migrate. But the question is, you've got to migrate your ideology towards their ideology. Just the way abroad parties of the left have moved to the center and occupying the same space. You can't be now on the extreme. Right. You have to be in the middle or center, mid, center, left.
we went to one of these villages all together and we spoke to one person, and it'll really, really surprise you. We talk about 3 things that get votes in this country: Bijli, Sadak, Pani, at least 3 things. And what will surprise you in this village of Mahadalits was they've got power. In fact, most of Bihar has now got power for most of the day, 20 hours, 22 hours, right? We found that almost everywhere. So this village, way out of the, we had to drive deep into the countryside to get to this village. And they've had power for the last 2-3 years for 22 hours a day. But we asked them, so are you then going to vote for the government in power that gave you this electricity? And the person, and all of them, and one of them in particular said, why should I give them a vote just for electricity? I pay for that electricity. I deserve that electricity. Can you eat electricity? Just listen to what this farmer in the fields had to say about development and his vote. आपको बिजली मिलने से उनके लिए वोट करेंगे?
जी नहीं।
क्यों? बिजली तो मिला?
बिजली तो मिला, तो मैं तो पैसा दे रहा हूँ सर।
तो बिजली तो दिया आपको?
दे रहा है तो कोई मंगनी तो नहीं दे रहा है सर हमको। हम पैसा देते हैं, जितना बिजली खर्च करते हैं उतना पैसा दे रहे हैं। बिजली तो खाने की चीज नहीं है, बिजली से तो खाना नहीं होगा। बिजली खाएंगे? नहीं खाएंगे। अनाज उपजेगा तो अनाज खाएंगे, बिजली नहीं खाएंगे।
तो बिजली मिलने से वोट नहीं देंगे उनको?
जी नहीं, सिर्फ बिजली देने से वोट नहीं मिलेगा। हमारा गांव का विकास होगा तब हमारे गांव में रोड होगा, हमारे गांव में पानी का व्यवस्था होगा, जल का व्यवस्था होगा, बोरिंग का व्यवस्था होगा। हमारा जो जितने गरीब मजदूर जो है उसका कुछ काम मिले ताकि वो वर्क करे तो विकास होगा। बिजली से सर, बिजली तो खाएंगे नहीं, कमाएंगे तो खाएंगे।
लेकिन अब आपको कितना बिजली मिलता है आजकल?
बिजली तो सर मिल जाती है 22 घंटा।
22 घंटा काफी मिलता। और 10 साल आगे, 5 साल आगे?
जी ना, हम लोगों को 2 साल से मिल रहा है।
2 साल से?
2 साल से हम लोगों को बिजली 22 घंटा 24 घंटा तक चली जाती है।
पुल मिलने से वोट देंगे उसके लिए?
जी नहीं सर, पुल से कुछ भी। पुल तो मेरा निजी चीज है, हमारा तो लड़ करके हमने पुल लिया है।
लड़ करके?
जी हाँ, अपने शरीर पर वजन लिए हैं। 15-15 दिन सर नहीं भोजन नहीं किए हैं। कहे कि आत्मदाह कर लेंगे, आत्मसमर्पण कर दिए थे कि नहीं, उसे हमको कोई मतलब 1 बार नहीं 4-4 बार लड़े हैं। तो अंत में क्या ये हमको तो ये पुल नहीं दिए हैं, इनसे तो पुल नहीं मिला है। हमारा सरकार जो है केंद्र में बैठा है वो पुल दिए हैं।
अपने आप लड़के मिला?
लड़के मिला। जैसे बच्चे रोते हैं तो उनकी माँ बाप दूध पिलाते हैं, नहीं रोते हैं तो उनको दूध नहीं दिया जाता है। कहते बच्चा तो मेरा खेल रहा है, दूध की क्या जरूरत है, उसको खाने की क्या जरूरत है। ऐसे बच्चा मिट्टी में लेटा रहे, उसे कोई मतलब नहीं है।
तो आप क्या चाहते हैं? रोड चाहते हैं?
जी हाँ, हमारे गांव में रोड होना चाहिए। हमारे गांव में अच्छे स्कूल होना चाहिए ताकि बच्चा पढ़े, तब तो गांव का विकास होगा। हमारे गांव में पानी का व्यवस्था हो, ताकि हम बोरिंग का व्यवस्था हो, ताकि जमीन में लोग पानी पटाए, ताकि उससे अच्छी उपज होगा। तब ये तो
तब वोट देंगे?
तब वोट देंगे।
तो हम तो अति महादलित में है, राम है।
अच्छा, और आप
सहनी है वो,
और ये
वो पासमान है।
अच्छा
जी,
दोस्त हैं लेकिन आप?
हाँ, सब हम लोग एक मिलकर रहते हैं।
तो
ऐसा नहीं है सर, हम लोगों में किसी से ऐसा नहीं होता है। पॉलिटिकल आदमी जो है हम लोगों को विच्छेद करते हैं।
जी हाँ।
इस चुनाव के दौरान भी लड़ा रहे हैं क्या नेता लोग?
कि हमारे देश का नेता जो हमारे यहाँ निजी जो नेता हैं क्षेत्र के लिए क्या किए। अब हम बुढ़ा जाएंगे तो क्या करेंगे, मरने वक्त में क्या कर सकते हैं। अभी 40 वर्ष का हूँ, लड़ाई तो लड़ने के लिए हम इन्हीं लोगों को अपने क्षेत्र में लड़ेंगे, अपने भाई से लड़ेंगे कि भाई जो अच्छा काम करता है उसी को काम देंगे। जो अच्छे काम नहीं करते हैं उनके साथ क्या होगा जाकर के।
नरेंद्र भाई के साथ
सर अभी तो नहीं बता सकते।
और पॉलिटिशियन कैसे
तोड़ना चाहते हैं। पॉलिटिक्स बाज तो है जो कि आप आए हैं तो आप भी चाहेंगे जो कि भाई इनको तोड़ करके उनमें जोड़ दो, उनसे तोड़ करके उनमें जोड़ दो।
So that's quite amazing, Shekhar. You heard him. He's got electricity now. In the last 3 years, it's 22 hours out of 24 hours a day. But he said, why should I vote for the person who gave it to me? He said, I want a road because he hasn't got a road. Now, does it mean when he gets a road, he'll say, why should I pay for road? That's what I deserve. Because he said, I got they gave me a bridge. They didn't give it to me. I fought for it. I, threatened I would commit suicide. I would do it. That's why I got it. They only give you only give food to a child when he or she cries. So this is what we have fought and earned. So development is, the minute you get it, you want something else.
Exactly, because your expectations keep rising from total minimalism, which is 3 square meals a day, roti kapda or makan, to Bijli sadak pani, and then onwards in same family we met these very young women, maybe 16, 17, 18-year-olds. Most of them had not become voters yet, who were talking about their dreams, wanting to become doctors, who told us about how their teachers come to the school but either go to sleep or read newspapers or knit sweaters and never teach, and how they go for tuition classes that someone else holds, group tuitions under a tree in the same village. So this is now a big churning that's going on in rural India. And it is leaving a lot of political forces behind. BJP is ahead of the curve also because it's the new kid on the block. People haven't checked it out.
So they say give them a chance. We tried
that's why the younger people are more inclined to give it a chance.
So also what's happening is that more and more people are getting exposed to television. Now Doordarshan has this free service on which you can write lots of channels. So they're getting to see what the others have. So it's not that they were living in the world of their own, didn't know what was available. Now they see some guy in Patna living very well. So why can't we have this too?
And if I've got it,
give me the next best.
I deserve it. It's not like. But tell me, so would you say Bijli Sadak Pani, now in Bihar it's only Sadak Pani?
Sadak also,
Bijli is out?
I think
Pani, already everybody's got
mainly
it?
Pani. Sadak also is most of places there. Because everywhere you went, you saw Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, building roads. Yes, you're right. But Pani is the real thing that's only left.
Pani and Sadak still need...
In Bihar now, it is better quality education and jobs. Better quality education.
But Bijli is no longer a major draw here.
Bijli is there. Now they want Bijli to get better and more consistent, but it's there. Look, people move up the value chain much faster than politicians imagine.
Okay, so that's another thing which is not about caste. It's about development.
Politicians
Bijli,
can't
Sadak,
plan
Pani,
it for them.
It goes across all castes. If I don't have Sadak and Pani, I am not, no matter what caste I am, I'm not going to vote for the government in power. It'll be an anti-incumbency vote. But we had find that across Bihar, Bijli has been a remarkable change over the last 5-10 years. Now let's move on to another area which is a little different from caste as well. Urban and rural vote. Let's see who does better in urban areas and who does better in rural areas. And this is generally true across the country. The BJP vote is higher in urban areas. Urban areas 50%. And in rural areas, the BJP vote is 37. That's a 13% difference. Now, we talk about only caste, but these things matter. And of course, there is some correlation with caste also. But we must take all these factors into account, not just go on and on simplistically about caste. What about RJD and JDU? Do they do better in rural areas? Yes, indeed they do. Our RJD vote is higher in rural areas. Rural areas 45%, urban areas 38%, lower by 7%. But in Bihar, how important is this distinction? Actually not that important. Why? Because Bihar is hugely still a rural state. Let's have a look at the rural-urban divide in Bihar. Look at this. Very different to the rest of India. Urban just 11%. And rural 89%. So the rural-urban divide in politics actually doesn't have such a huge impact on the final outcome, but as the urban areas become more and more and 25, 30%, 40% like the rest of India, it will be important.
But again the difference is Bihar is very poorly urbanized, but the urge among the people, rural people of Bihar to urbanize is that much greater. And in fact, that's what's causing some of this frustration with the system that's been there.
Right. So, we also talked in the last program about last Battleground about how turnout matters, how women's turnout is important, men's turnout, the difference that women vote for JDU, men vote for BJP. And in the end, in this election, more men actually voted than women, given the numbers and the registration. So we asked just a person on the in one of the villages on the roadside. What did he think of the non-urban, non-caste matters? How did it affect politics in Bihar? Listen to what he had to say.
मर्द से ज्यादा औरत वोट कर रहे हैं, क्यों?
मर्द से ज्यादा औरत वोट कर रहे हैं, ऐसा तो नहीं हमें लग रहा है कि मर्द से ज्यादा, लगभग दोनों
परसेंटेज ज्यादा है वोटिंग, क्यों?
जो जैसे जेंट्स लोग मतलब बाहर ज्यादातर रहते हैं, लेकिन उनके महिला घर पे है, वो वोट कर रहे हैं, तो ये भी एक वजह है परसेंटेज का। जो जेंट्स बाहर, जैसे बहुत सारे लोग यहाँ पे है, मतलब जो सी क्लास के हैं लोग बाहर, जैसे कि हरियाणा, इधर अदर प्रदेश में जो वर्क कर रहा है और वहाँ पे महिला उनके घर पे है, तो वो लोग तो वोट करेंगे ही। सब में जब जागरूकता आया है, वो अपना वोट पोल कर रहे हैं। और हम लोग का भी मैंने पॉलिसी यही था कि जा करके वोट दो। सबसे पहला ये कि जहाँ दो, लेकिन पहले वोट पोल करो, परसेंटेज बढ़े। लालू जी के 1 मिनट, लालू जी के पहले क्या था कि आज जो मतलब कई ऐसे गरीब लोग थे जिनको मेरा खटिया है, मेरा द्वार है, मेरा चौतरा है, लेकिन हम ही खड़ा है और मालिक कर रहे हैं, हम अपने हमारा ही लोटा वो कर रहे हैं। वो चीज को लालू जी खत्म किए थे, तो उसको खत्म करने में थोड़ा सा कहने के मतलब कि खोने के बाद ही कोई पाता है, कुछ पाने के लिए खोना पड़ता है। तो जंगल राज हुआ था, तो उसको जड़ से खत्म किए लालू जी। आज सबको आवाज दी है, तो लालू जी की देन है, लालू जी की देन है। अगर आज आवाज दी है तो लालू जी की देन है। जो गरीबों आज बोल रहे हैं, चाहे वो किसी भी समुदाय के हो, अल्पसंख्यक अति पिछड़ा हो, वो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता। लालू जी सबके लिए काम किया, सबको आवाज देने के लिए काम किया।
और आप लोगों का प्राइम मिनिस्टर के बारे में क्या ख्याल है?
प्राइम मिनिस्टर है, विदेश नीति पे जो काम कर रहे हैं, मैं चाहता हूं कि और विदेश दौरा करें, उसके हाँ और करें। हमको भारत को अस्थायी मतलब संयुक्त राष्ट्र का अस्थायी सदस्यता चाहिए। उसके लिए चाहे जितना भी बाहर है पैसा दौरा कर रहे हैं, वो मंजूर है, लेकिन बिहार में नीतीश कुमार। अगर 19 का समय आएगा, फिर एक बार मैं नरेंद्र मोदी जी को सपोर्ट करने का काम करूंगा, लेकिन बिहार में नीतीश कुमार।
जात पात की, हाँ, सिर्फ जातवाद के बारे में है कि
ऐसा कुछ नहीं। अगर जात की बात होता तो मैं यहीं पे खारिज करता कि मैं 19 में नरेंद्र मोदी जी को वोट नहीं दूंगा, लेकिन मैंने स्वीकार किया है कि नरेंद्र मोदी जी को 19 में मैं वोट कर रहा हूँ, इसलिए कि विदेश नीति पे 2020 में शायद सुरक्षा परिषद का वोटिंग होने वाला है, जिसमें हमारे देश अगर अस्थायी सदस्य में 6ठा स्थान पाता है, तो हमारा देश भी शक्तिशाली बनेगा। तो नरेंद्र मोदी जी का अपना इच्छुक है, उनका अपना शैली है, अगर काम कर रहे हैं विदेश नीति पे, तो बहुत अच्छा है, हम लोग का सपोर्ट है।
ये इलेक्शन
ये इलेक्शन जात नहीं, और जिस तरह से मोदी केंद्र में, तो बिहार में नीतीश,
मतलब डेवलपमेंट के
डेवलपमेंट वाली डेवलपमेंट यहाँ लोगों का मुद्दा है। और
जात कोई मुद्दा नहीं,
जात कोई मुद्दा नहीं है। बट यहाँ एक चीज है कि जो जहाँ है, जैसे समीकरण है, इस चीज से मैं पहले भी स्वीकार किया हूँ कि बिहार जातीयता से अछूता नहीं रहा, तो जिसका जहाँ समीकरण है वो कर रहा है। लेकिन ज्यादातर मुद्दा जो है ना कि पहले से कुछ बदला है, डेवलपमेंट मेन मुद्दा।
Okay, now that was just a random person that we just came across, and let me tell you, throughout Bihar, everywhere we've been, every person we've spoken to has got politics, analysis, answers, questions on everything. One of the most political states, actually, isn't
absolutely.
it? We learned.
Everybody had an
I mean,
opinion.
it's almost as though that person has read our survey or done his own survey. He just understood. And the interesting point he made about men and women, why women turnout is so high this time, is because A, it's a season where a lot of men are out, and B, women are feeling more safe. That Bihar is a much safer place than ever before.
It's a very calm place. Look at the way elections are held now. I mean, given how peaceful the elections are, there's one more round to go. There really is no justification for a month-long, 5-phase election process. Right. Bihar, in terms of law and order, is now becoming a very normal state,
right,
which is a blessing, and Bihar should be rewarded for it. I think Bihar is being punished only based on its reputation.
Past record. But I must say, Dorab agrees with you, and I disagree with both of you. I think if you take 1 month over election, it's just fine. I'll wait rather than risk any problems. But you know.
Yes, but there is the question of election funding, all those problems, disruption of work. Right. So I think one needs to think about these things.
Disruption of governance.
Yeah. Excuse me, the American elections actually start 1.5 years before the election.
Yes,
but
but
there's no code
governance.
of conduct.
Huh?
There's no code of conduct.
No model code of conduct.
Correct.
Yeah, but you know, you can, anyway,
this morning we were talking.
I still feel better to have safe, solid, focused elections, and doesn't matter if it takes a month.
It's not 1 month, it's 2 months.
One more thing that the gentleman said You know, there's a lot of talk about the jungle Raj. In fact, one of the general criticisms about Nitish Kumar, and let me tell you, very few people actually criticize him.
In fact, very few people talk of him in any disparaging
Any
manner.
negative
Nobody
way.
even says, as our colleague Manish, NDTV correspondent said, nobody even says Nitishva for him. They say Nitish Babu, Nitish Ji, Nitish.
And even the
Even his
PM
opponents,
and
yes.
Amit Shah refer to him Nitish Babu.
Yes.
But the one criticism they do have is that he's tied up with Lalu and the jungle Raj will be back. Of course, we spoke to Lalu and he said if ever that comes back, they will kill me, etc. But people don't. So jungle Raj, he said, we said, what about the jungle Raj? And he said, basically, it was a churning of castes. There was the dominance of the forward caste, and the OBCs had to come to their own. And to make such a big change in society, you have to have some disruption. I mean, you may not agree with that, but it's analysis by an average person in Bihar.
But there is truth to that, because Bihar, you know, it's very easy to be nostalgic about old times. And as they say, you know, no matter how bad the times, tomorrow there will be a good old days. But the good old days in Bihar were really very unfair days where lower castes were not allowed to vote. They had no voice. People won elections by the number of booths they controlled, not by the number of votes they got. So Lalu has changed all that. He has definitely carried out an empowerment.
Right. Yeah, and one interesting point, when we went, two interesting points came when we went to many villages and talked about the jungle Raj, and they'd heard about it, and the end of the jungle Raj. So one guy said, but we love our jungles. And the other lady said, look, I mean, this jungles is where I get all my wood. If you're going to get it, if I'm going to lose my jungle, so there was a miscommunication about what we're going to stop jungle.
That was a
Raj,
woman
and one
who
said,
also sold bangle, shellac bangle.
Yeah,
So her point was, if I don't get this from the jungle.
and one person said that Ram lived in a jungle, remember?
Yes.
So the communication in elections is crucial. When you're saying ending jungle Raj, if some people think you're in the jungles, you're going to lose
it
votes.
works in the cities.
Sorry?
It works in the cities.
Right.
Because cities faced the brunt of the jungle Raj. It's the doctors who face the threat of kidnapping. It's anybody halfway halfway prosperous who flaunted a decent car could be kidnapped.
One more thing which we learned, if you remember, at the villages and where the turmoil took place, was when you enter a village, the forward castes tend to be right in front. And Lalu, when he wanted to change the society, started giving land right in the front to the OBCs. So that tension, just the location and placement of OBCs versus the tradition at the front rather than forward caste at the front.
I think it's not just forward caste, it's the fact that if you're right at the end of the village, you need to walk a couple of miles to come to the main road to go to the school.
Right.
I mean, you are disadvantaging the person by placing him there.
I will finesse it further. Not OBCs, but Yadavs.
Yadavs
So in the
in
process,
particular. Yeah.
Yadavs have now become a dominant caste.
Right.
And Yadavs are a caste that, say, Dalits and Mahadalits now detest and fear because they see Yadavs as exploiters or Dadas.
So now that we've got into caste, we've been through all the other factors. Let's have a look at how the caste lineup actually happened in Bihar. Let's have a look at the votes of forward caste. You will of course see a majority, but it's not 100%. Look at that. BJP vote from forward caste is 70%. But a lot of people think it's just en bloc, 100% all forward caste vote BJP. Doesn't happen. It's still though 70-20, and that is huge. Now, of course, built into forward caste are things like literacy and location. So it's a mixture of a lot of things in that one figure. Let's not just take it in a simplistic way. Let's have a look at backward caste. Among the backward castes, JDU and RJD get 50% of their vote and the BJP 30%. So that direct one-to-one head-on is 20% higher for the JDU, RJD.
And for a group that accounts for 51% of the votes in this state. So that is an enormous advantage because it's 51% of people in the state are OBCs.
Right. And finally, let's have a look at the scheduled castes and the Dalits and Mahadalits. They tend to vote more for JDU and RJD. JDU and RJD 55%, BJP 45%, more evenly divided, just
Quite an even
10%.
split.
Quite evenly.
And this will be affected this time by Mr. Manji.
That's a huge factor. So Manji, having been made chief minister and then dethroned, treated slightly roughly, although some say he asked for it, some say he didn't, whatever. The voters think he has been treated a little unfairly. So that will cause a change there. So what we did also find is that caste and economic conditions are so closely related. We went to one village and we found that all the goodies, the roads, the clean water, the electricity poles stopped at where the Yadav stopped. As soon as the Dalit area started in the village, no electricity, no roads. So the connection between the government handouts and caste has been actually, frankly, shocking. Let's have a look at this short question and answer session, or let's say what these people in the Dalit part of this village had to say.
वहाँ रास्ता भी रहा अच्छा है, इधर नहीं है, उसी के लिए
इधर कौन रहता है?
हाँ, इधर रहता है माले पार्टी लोग, अर्जन है, लाइट का बंदोबस्त नहीं है, पानी का बंदोबस्त है, हाँ, इधर है, यही तकिल है।
इधर क्यों नहीं है?
इधर कॉल दिया ही नहीं तो क्या छोटी जाति है, इसके लिए नहीं है, कोई पढ़े लिखे ये सब ज्ञान वाले।
So that is a connection on the ground between caste and development. The Dalits had to pay for their own lamp post and get the wires and hook on. Nobody provided them. It was a Yadav village and the Yadav had some connection with it.
Pranay, it's even more complicated. It was a Yadav dominated village.
Right.
But it was not a village dominated by Lalu Yadav in a manner of speaking.
Right.
This was Hukamdev Narayan Yadav's village.
Right.
He's the leader of the BJP.
Right. But even in the other village where the Dalits were, the road actually didn't go into their area and they want it. So there is this connection that the Dalits are getting development last.
What I'm saying is caste works the same way irrespective of where its political loyalties may lie.
Which this morning we met the chairman of the electricity board here.
Right.
And he's saying that they're trying to ensure more and more that these people don't have to pay for something that they're entitled to. So trying to reach out more and more to the villagers and saying, look, you don't have to pay.
Yeah. Huge success.
You don't have to pay a bribe to get a transformer. You don't have to pay a bribe to get a
But
connection.
he also mentioned that the definition of an electrified village is so wrong that even if the Dalit area is left out, it's still an electrified village.
Because X
Well, I
percent.
mean, Government of India said, according to a 2010-11 policy, that if you can electrify 10 out of 100, or maybe a minimum of 10 villages, BPL households in a village,
10 BPL houses in a village is done.
Village becomes electrified.
That's
This
crazy.
is a
The 90 are left out.
Nonsensical criteria.
Okay, let's move on to the last important category in the caste and religion fragmentation of the electorate, and that's the Muslim vote. Now, traditionally, let's have a look at where the Muslim vote goes. It's everybody says it goes against the BJP, and historical data shows that 80% of Muslim votes go to the JDU, RJD, Congress combined, and 5% only to the BJP. That's a 75%. That's even more than the forward caste division in favor of the BJP. And the percentages, by the way, are about the same. About 16% of the population are Muslims and 16% or so are forward caste. Now, let's move on and see what this really means. Phase 5, that's the northeast area, is the strongest Muslim area. That's still to vote. That happens on the 5th. But the percentage is not that much different, Dora. It's 22% average there. That means there are some pockets with high Muslim voters and others with low. But it's still 6% higher than the rest of the first 4 phases. So the Muslim-dominated or strong Muslim voter area is still to vote. So the pattern in the first 4 phases will be slightly different compared to the final phase. Now, how does this matter? We said that, okay, it's 22% average, but some places have 30% Muslim, 40% Muslim. Just look at this. BJP vote does not drop in high Muslim areas. This is where Muslims are above 20% but under 50%. BJP vote in high Muslim seats is 38%. BJP vote in low Muslim seats is 39%. That is because where Muslims are high but not a majority, there's a huge Hindu consolidation of vote.
I think what happens that where the Muslim vote is very low, the Hindus don't consolidate. When it starts moving up, when it's very high, it makes no difference. When it's 40%, 50%, then the BJP loses. But probably 20 to 30%, when they see them as fairly dominant, that's when the Hindu vote
I think
starts
there
to
is,
consolidate.
because there is a notion that Muslims vote strategically to defeat the BJP, there is also a counter-strategic mindset
Backlash.
for Hindus to get together.
Just let's have a look at, finally, we've seen that where it's 20 to 50% Muslims, there's Hindu consolidation which counters that. But look at where the Muslims vote is over 50%. BJP vote 39%, where it's 0 to 50, and where it's 50 plus, the BJP vote drops to 31%. In other words, where the Muslim population is above 50%, the BJP vote drops by 8% because the Hindu consolidation there is not enough, obviously. So it's interesting, the backlash is most significant in the 20 to 50% Muslim
Also,
seats.
the 50 plus constituents are very few. There aren't that many. Most of them lie in the most of the Muslim constituents lie in the 20 to 50 belt where consolidation does take place.
Because well, Hindu vote is less than 50%. In any case, a large chunks of that Hindu vote are committed either on caste basis or on loyalty basis to others. So there isn't that much catchment left for BJP to cash in on.
Do you feel this election, the polarization is going to be more or less?
But that's a very few districts in Bihar, frankly. Only towards the eastern edge.
Right. So that's the bottom. But the overall bottom line is yes, caste matters, religion matters, but a whole lot of other things: women's vote, development, literacy, age. Younger you are, you vote differently from 86-year-olds. It's very different. Of course, a lot of things are also subsumed one inside the other. The more literate are more wealthy. Sometimes the younger have a little more income. Higher castes are urban. You know, all that is mixed up. But it's not just simple thing, caste and religion.
Yes,
That's
also
what
Mr. Modi is a factor this time.
Right.
Because Mr. Modi, Narendra Modi, is not going to be the Chief Minister of Bihar, but he is a factor in a manner that you would believe a national leader has not been since maybe Rajiv Gandhi in 1984.
And also, I think, did you find this? I got the sense that the huge victory of the 2014 Lok Sabha election still is playing out today.
I think some of the juice is still left.
The juice is left, the aspiration is left, the hope is left.
And he's reinforcing it.
We went to a village, Pranoy, in the floodplains of Budi Gandak, way down from the national highway, really backward village with very few pakka homes. And even there, young people were saying, because they were watching TV, that Mr. Modi has really enhanced India's global stature, that he's now buying the best weapons, guns and planes for our soldiers, so they don't have to worry about terrorists on the border. So this is the age of hyper communication.
And they were watching, they saw this all on television. We asked, how do you know this? Watched it on television.
All on television. So
we saw a lot of rural houses.
Mr. Modi's been able to leverage his prime ministership and his aggressive style, foreign travel, his speeches very well, and this is now cutting with the younger voters. So that's a factor this time.
It's somewhat muscular, policy. And the young love muscular policies. He's giving to them.
So that's really the story about Bihar. We came here also a little simplistic about Bihar is only about caste and religion and everything is subdivided into subcaste. Everybody knows which way they should vote. 100% of one subcaste goes one way, another 100% goes the other way, and then you add up all the divisions. It's not like that. There's lots more to it. There's women's vote, there's turnout, there's younger, older, there's urban, rural, there's economic conditions. Huge number of factors go into this electorate. And this is an electorate which we found is perhaps the most political, the most erudite on politics. They discuss, analyze, they know which way to vote that suits them the best. It's an amazing experience coming to Bihar and learning from the average voter in Bihar. Our next battleground is tomorrow night. Thanks very much for watching. Bye bye for now.